Cool. So this is take two because Chris and I met a few weeks ago now, and as in every company, things don't always work out as we'd like them to, and the video cut off. So we're kind of like getting together again to kind of wrap up what we were talking about in the last video. So if anything isn't consistent, that's why this is take number two. But I thought it was important to point that out because I think as business owners, we want to plan everything out. We want to be psychics. We want to know what's going to happen next. We want to have this feeling of control, and we can't have that feeling. It's just not realistic. It's not practical. It's not going to happen. And I'm sure Chris felt terrible when the video didn't work out.
Oh
and
yeah.
how did you handle it? Because he had to reach out to me, completely apologetic. We had spent like, what, an hour and a half talking. And then
Yeah.
he said, oh, and he got like 20 minutes of the video out of like over the hour that we were talking, and then he had to reach out and say, man, it's like, what do I say? So he reached out and he said, hey, do you mind doing it? And of course, I don't mind doing it again, but I thought it was really important to address that. So how did you feel? I'm going to kind of flip the table because this is important. Like, things don't always go as planned.
Yeah.
How did you feel when that happened?
When I finished, I'm like, yo, that was like probably the best interview I had yet. And I went to save it, and it's only 20 minutes, and I was like, oh crap. Now I have to tell her that nothing, all the good stuff didn't even get recorded, and I felt like crap. I honestly didn't even want to email you, and I was just like, you know what? I can cry and complain and say like how unfair this is, or I can just be honest. A mistake happened, and hopefully, she's okay with that, and that's what I did.
And you know what? Even if I wasn't okay with it, which obviously I am because I'm sitting here right now, but
Yeah.
even if I wasn't okay with it, like, screw them. Like, who cares? Like, it's not like you wanted that to happen.
For sure.
It's not like that's what your, like, wish list was. So, I mean, some people aren't going to be as cool when mistakes happen. Other people will be cool. But it's a matter of knowing if you have the right intention in the world and if you're doing everything you can do to be the best person you can be. And other than that, like, if you know that you checked everything off and it was just a technical glitch happens and it happens. I've had challenges where I'll have like a teammate like not deliver something on time, and that's unacceptable to me because this is affecting somebody else. So then I'll have to work double duty to make sure that the end client gets whatever the project is on time,
Yeah.
because that's just not going to happen. But it's not like I'm a puppeteer controlling everybody around me. So sometimes that stuff happens, and then it's like we have to learn from our mistakes and think about, okay, well, what can we do differently so this doesn't happen again?
For
if
sure.
possible at all. So I thought that was really, really important. And if I remember correctly, you sent me an email like offering something. I don't even remember what
Yeah.
it was. I think it wasn't even important to me, but like, what was it?
I offered the amount of time that I quote unquote had wasted of yours
Yeah.
in exchange for, I don't know, some type of free service, doing paperwork, anything.
Right.
So
And I don't need that, but like, I did take note that you were acknowledging that there was time spent. And I think that's important for everybody to hear, that it's not having these expectations or lack of gratitude, like really taking the time to acknowledge. And this like can apply to friends and family and business, it's just like, if somebody is bothered or inconvenienced, to take a moment to acknowledge this is something that directly affects them and that you're willing to do something in return for, I don't know what the right word, inconveniencing someone else,
Yeah.
or compromise, whatever it is. It shows a lot about your character. So I think in the future when people, basically the way you handled it was awesome. So I think in the future when everybody listening to your interview right now makes a mistake, and it's going to happen. It happens all the time in business. You can read as many books as you want to read. From Robert Kiyosaki to Donald Trump to, Eric Ries to, whatever, Tony Hsieh. Read every single book, and you still won't be prepared to be a successful business owner. The only thing you can do is, in my opinion, is have character, ethics, great credibility. Like, these are the things that really make you stand out and succeed when you're running a race. And I think the one thing people listening would feel like, okay, how about that saying, nice guys finish last? I mean, yes, there's all different types of business people. There's types that can be shrewd. There's types that will cut corners. There's types that will, cheat and steal. Which type do you want to be? I know I was on a call earlier today at a meeting with someone, really nice person, and I don't know if we talked about, I can't remember what we talked about in the last interview, but so you know how there's this list building and everybody like builds email lists and collects emails. Well, I actually take an obscene amount of time to email everybody one-on-one. I'm really not into sending mass emails. I like to have the most authentic relationships possible. It takes me so long, like so long. But, I decided that's who I was as a business owner. I was a person that wants to have that genuine one-on-one connection with the people who interact with my company. And that was important to me. I decided scaling, which is like a hot term, wasn't as important to me when it came to this as just, genuinely saying hello. And so I took a moment to decide, do I want to be the business owner who scales because that's what's so sexy to venture capitalists and angel investors? Or do I want to be a business owner that, hey, that girl Espree, she reached out. Like, that was really weird. It's a site and it has productivity software. It's really awesome. And she, really cares. That's who I want to be in this world. And I think, listen, no judgment for everybody listening. It's like whatever you want to be. If you want to be the cheater, the liar, the whatever, just, I don't want to work with you then. But for me, I want to be like that person that really stands out from the crowd because I take the extra hour to get to know you instead of the person that, views you as another number on an email list,
For sure.
Like, I want to know your name. So that's important. But getting to like what can make someone sexy for like venture capitalists and angel investors, and I know a hot topic is always like raising money and when to raise money and all this stuff. Listen, there's a different story to every single company, and everybody's going to tell you what the right and wrong answer is. And again, apologies if this is all in part one of the other video.
No, it's not there.
But we have to create our own story. And I know when I was a younger entrepreneur, I thought everybody else had the answer because I was like, 20 years old. What do I know? I'm a girl in the action sports industry. That's like skateboarding and motocross, building a technology company. There's obviously people out there smarter than me. But then what I learned years later was the person who knew what my company needed best, and not in an ignorant way, and in like an intuitive way, was me, because no one was more passionate about my company, about my brand than I was. So I came up with this saying, my intuition is my oracle, because it really is. Like, there's so many cool authors from, Tim Ferriss and all these like Before Hour Work Week and all these things that you can do.
Yeah.
But like really at the end of the day, you have to find the rules that suit you best. So you kind of like take in all this information and then you decide, okay, I've now heard all this information. What's right for me? So that goes the same. To know about venture capitalists and angel investors, they're all going to tell you this. Don't pitch until you have this much traction, or your pitch deck needs to look this way, or blah, 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 blah. I don't know, all these different things. The most important thing is to be the person you want to be in business, like I was saying before, because what investors care about most is who the team is. Because ideas change, companies pivot. That's another, sexy term.
Yeah.
Companies pivot, ideas change, things don't work out, they do work out. But what stays constant is the character and the experience of the team. That is what keeps growing. So you want to really show investors who you are at the core, actually before you even get into the company, because they're looking at you. And if your company doesn't work out, are you the type of person that they would invest in again? So you want to ask yourself, it's almost the beer test. Would they have a beer with you? Would they invite you over to hang with their family? Because that's what they're really looking for. And then after that, you have the pitch deck and all this stuff, And, I know we were talking about a story before, how I kind of got into the whole VC world. But, I mean, at the core, I just took chances and thought outside of the box and did what felt right for me. And I continue to do that every day. And it's scary. And I don't know if anything is right or wrong. People say, how'd you know what to do? Because especially now that I've been doing it over 10 years, it's like I've never known what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing. I go for my gut of what feels right. I used to own a social media marketing agency, and there was this one client that we were working on. I think it was, there were two types of clients. One was in the business industry and one was in the entertainment industry. We did some Facebook marketing for the one of them. I think it was the one in the entertainment industry. I can't remember anymore. Anyway, it with one of them, it totally worked, like 100%. I was like, this shit is crazy. I can't believe like it's working 100%. That never happens. Took the exact same marketing tactic, applied it to the other client in a different industry, failed, like bombed. I looked like an idiot. I was like, what? And it's because like no two companies are alike. They all have their own stories. People receive the information in different ways. If you're talking to, people like dentists and like, maybe a mom and pop grocery store, they're not going to understand the internet. So if you tell them all about Twitter, they're like, huh? But if you, talk to someone like Chris or like myself about Twitter, it's like we totally know what's going on. So you have to understand, who you're talking to know how to communicate to them.
Yeah.
So it's not like what you want to sell in your company. It's not what like you want to build as the company owner. It's what do people want to receive? What will change their life? How do they want to be spoken to? What makes sense to them? What problems do they have, and what solutions can you offer to solve those problems?
That makes total sense. I remember when we first met, I reached out to you on Twitter like a year ago now, and I asked you like a similar question, and you told me literally the same exact thing. And
it's good to see him consistent.
Yeah, and it's just kind of weird because like you hear so many different things from like so many different people, like, oh, don't pitch here, or wait to pitch, or you got to build something first, etc. But honestly, like you said, every business is different, and I've learned that. I don't want to say the hard way, but I've learned that just through my own experiences, and it's kind of cool to hear someone that's already there to validate the same thing. So
it's hard. I mean, the thing is, every single person everywhere has an opinion, and especially when, at least when I didn't know any better, so I thought every single person's opinion was right except for mine because I didn't know. Like it's too many opinions. Like right now, I'm redoing the logo of my site, right, of Save Business Time, and so I had one logo. And I was talking to a branding expert. She's this really cool girl, but I was talking to her, and she said, "Oh, your logo doesn't represent who you are at all." I was like, "Cool, I'll toy with this." I'm not sure if she's right or not because I knew it's just an opinion, even though she really well-known branding expert.
Yeah.
But I kind of like, let me see if this is right for me, right? But one thing she said is that my logo didn't represent who I was, and I had been feeling like my site didn't represent my personality well. So I was like, oh, maybe I can spruce it up through the logo. So I went to Fiverr.com because, I mean, there's all sorts of tools. There's 99 Designs, there's CrowdSpring. I didn't know if I really wanted to do this. So even with 99 Designs and CrowdSpring, let's say it's between $100 to $500, right? Which isn't that much. But, like, I didn't want to even spend that. I want to spend, like, $5. So I went to Fiverr. Found a good logo designer on Fiverr. By the way, if anybody wants that logo designer, just email me. You could tweet me at Espree Devora, and I'll send you the information for the. Be sure to follow me so I can direct message you back, send you the information for the logo designer I used. She was really good. Anyway. All right, you guys, we're recording. This is part 3. I don't know. It may have been my screen. I had tons of screens up. But so what I was talking about is how I got a logo designer off of Fiverr. And I think you guys heard me. If you want me to introduce you to this logo designer, just tweet me at Espree Devora, ESPREEDEV, like Victor ORA. And I'll send you the information. Anyway, she was great. She sent me back 3 samples for $5. So rad, right? And so I took one of the samples, and what I did is I posted it to my Facebook, and I asked, because I wasn't sure, right, if I even needed a new logo. So I asked my Facebook friends, hey, what do you think, logo A or logo B? So it was my original logo or like the new logo the person on Fiverr had just created. And everyone, like 100% of the people were like, no way, get rid of the old logo, definitely the new one. I was wow. But still, I wanted to make sure that that's what felt right to me. And it did. It did feel right. So then everybody started giving me their opinion on the new logo. Oh, but you should do this and this to that. You should do this and that to that. You should do... And at that point, I had a friend, and the friend was like, why don't I make a couple easy tweaks for you so you could see, like, which ones you like better? So my friend did that, and I posted the new options again to my Facebook, the same thread, so it's like all, like, it's all the people who already had an interest in everything. I said, which ones do you guys like? Again, they really liked one of them, and I was just like, this is crazy. But you know what's even crazier is that I didn't really like that one. So I haven't even made my decision yet, because I'm between this one that pretty much 99% of the people like, and then the one that I like. So the reason they like one of them, here, I'll even give it to you. Maybe you could post it somewhere so people can see what I'm talking about.
All right.
But one of them is like super clean. So my company's name is Save Business Time. So one of them, so it's essentially a clock and the word Save Business Time. And one of them has the clock hands, which I think are super cool. And the other one doesn't have clock hands. And everybody says I should, and one has my tagline, which is the girl who gets it done, and the other one doesn't. And everybody's saying the one that's clean without any extras is the one I should go with, because it's like so clean and so sexy. And I think it is so boring. I like the clock hands. It's like spunky and like fiery like I am. So I don't know what I'm going to end up doing. But the whole point is that everybody has an opinion. And at the end of the day, like, as long as your customers are happy and you're making sales, there really isn't any right or wrong. It's just about, I mean, there just isn't. It's just about, you know, going with your gut, listening to your intuition.
That's honestly good stuff. Like, I think the part that we missed was good, but this is even better. This is even better.
I think there's always, like, there's so many different experiences in being an entrepreneur. I mean, we could talk about this for the next few years, you know?
Definitely.
Like, I mean, I think if people are deciding whether or not to be an entrepreneur, just to be super clear, they say entrepreneurs are the only set of people who work 80 hours a week in order to avoid working 40 hours a week.
Yep.
So being an entrepreneur isn't some quick gateway to freedom. And I know that's how it's pitched up and it's marketed that way. And so now everybody's on the entrepreneurial, you know, bandwagon. I've been an entrepreneur since before it was cool to be an entrepreneur, before the term startup existed. I had never heard of it. Before there was, you know, Y Combinator and all these things that exist nowadays. I mean, the startup communities are like blowing up. It's like the hottest nightclub, you know, in town. So I think it's really important to understand that it isn't some quick fix, fast road to freedom, some financial freedom. It's being an entrepreneur is like being an artist. You're able to express your creativity and your interests in a medium, which, you know, for me is technology. And that at its core, you're painting a masterpiece. Like, that's what you're doing by building a business. And some masterpieces take a really long time to build, you know, to paint. And it's unfortunate that I think people have this misconception of what it is to start a startup, because they're bummed out and they can't figure out why it's not working fast or working at all, and they can't figure out why this trick didn't work or that trick didn't work, or they get overwhelmed by there's too many tricks, I don't know which one to go with, you know? And it's about building your own painting and, like, you know, selecting the strokes as you feel, you know, like when you paint from the heart, and it's like selecting the strokes as you feel are right for you. And if one doesn't look that great, painting over it and like finding a different area and different color to paint, you know?
It reminds me of I always use the Angry Bird story, so I'm gonna switch it up.
Yeah, yeah,
WD
yeah,
40. The reason it's called WD 40 is because it's the
yeah.
40th experiment, and this is the one that actually worked. Uh,
Oh, of the people who built Angry Birds?
well, yeah, I always use that one, so I decided to use the WD 40. So 39 experiments didn't work, and the 40th one decided to work.
Oh, totally. No, but
Um,
are you saying that I don't know much about Angry
oh,
Birds. Did Angry...
well, the for Angry Birds, Rovio had built 35 previous games over a span of 5 to 6 years before they
Wow.
built Angry Birds. Exactly,
Yeah. I
and
didn't even know that.
exactly, yeah. And you probably never even played one of their other 35 games, but Angry Birds
Definitely
is the
not.
one that broke out, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're overnight success," but 5 to 6 years of games,
Totally.
yeah. So,
Totally. I mean, I saw one of these awesome, you know, Facebook artworks that people post or whatever, and it was like the co-founder of Twitter saying, it took 10 years to be an overnight success. um, that's an awesome story. That's really inspiring about Angry Birds. I
yeah.
mean, it's that same thing. Same thing for Skunk. The script got rejected a zillion times. Lady Gaga got dropped from her music label. I mean, you just never know. And that's the most frustrating part about being an entrepreneur. That's like the worst part, that you just don't know. You just don't know. And the only proof of concept is like when you really know something's working is when you start getting the sales. So, but it's like a catch-22 because you don't want to be too salesy that you're like, WTF, like get away from me, virus. My favorite podcast to listen to, I don't know if I mentioned this in part one, my favorite podcast to listen to is called Product People. It's productpeople.tv, and it's a podcast for people who love building products, who love building software. And it's dynamic. I mean, first of all, it's funny. It's like interesting to listen to, so it's engaging. But the information on there is just awesome. Like, the one I'm listening to right now is all about this guy and how his father owned a successful business, and so the business model of this magazine that his father owned was a annual subscription. So when he was 12, he started selling a newsletter to his classmates and teachers and
Oh
offered
wow.
an annual subscription. And I was just like, and he's like, there's nothing better than people like showing me it works because they actually buy it. And I'm like, hallelujah.
That sounds like.
Exactly.
Have you read the Gary Halpert letters?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Copywriting,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It
Tell
sounds.
everybody where to find those. Will you have a place to link? Those are important to
Yeah,
read.
it's I think it's the GaryHalpertLetters.com.
Right.
I'll link it, but
Yeah.
it sounds like something similar, just through a podcast version.
Oh, yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, those are just how to do amazing copywriting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, this is like podcasting to say how to be an incredible entrepreneur building software.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So this isn't for copywriting.
Huh.
This is like interviewing a different person every time. But those are amazing. Like, did you get it from Nev at AppSumo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually watched the video by Noah. He mentioned it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Nev does all the copywriting at
Oh, okay.
AppSumo, and he created the copywriting course, and he talks about it a lot. Yeah.
Well, if you know Noah, I tweeted him. We had a few tweets, but try to meet the guy. If he ever comes out to Philly, I'd like to buy him some tacos.
Maybe he could buy you some tacos. I think you're pretty worth taco buying.
I mean, it's my treat. Tacos, the least I can do.
I don't know. You're pretty awesome, Chris. I think every entrepreneur should be buying you tacos.
Oh, thank you. Well, you're awesome for part 3 of this. I mean, like you said, you just got to keep doing it. For those who are out there trying to do something, go after their goals, just take the first step. If something doesn't work, keep going, because you learn by failing. And
do this if you feel discouraged, because failing sucks. If you feel discouraged, tweet me, and I promise you're not alone. Because that's the worst. Because being an entrepreneur, we're alone unless you have a business partner.
Yeah.
So, and I've been lucky enough to have amazing business partners, and I've also built companies alone. Like, just tweet me, and if you don't feel comfortable Twitter, because that's not your thing, email me, Espree@espreedevora.com, and just put like in huge, in the subject line in huge caps, Chris's interview. And so I know because I get a lot of emails. But you're definitely not alone. I know Chris really cares about you guys, or he wouldn't be taking his time like doing these interviews. And I definitely would not be sitting here if I didn't care about you as well.
Well, Espree, you're awesome. Like I said, I'll be back in Cali, so I'll take you out for some tacos too.
Sounds good. We'll taco it up.
All right, Espree. Once again, let everyone know for the second time where they can find you on Twitter or Facebook or your website.
So my website is savebusinesstime.com, SAVEBUSINESS time.com, and Twitter is Espree Devora, or it's also Save Biz Time, BIZ time. And what else? You could call if you wanted to, 5623 dial me.
Thanks, giving out everything. I gotta write that. I don't even have that one.
I'm accessible, not too accessible.
Well,
like, please don't stalk me at night or anything like that.
What are you doing right now? It's 12 o'clock on the East Coast. Well, Espree, you're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. You're very inspiring, obviously, and the aesthetic artwork behind and the...
Oh, yeah. So my friend Chase, he has Art of Chase. It's theartofchase.com. He does the Listen to Your Soul. Let's see if I can... Look at this. It's amazing. He gave it to me for my birthday. You see it?
Yeah. I thought that was like Chase Bank when I first saw Chase. I was like, didn't know.
Chase on... You can see his... Oh, that's funny. I think he did do some stuff with Chase eventually. He's like really big now.
Well, that's kind of cool.
So, I'll see you guys later. Chris and I will miss you. Enjoy the next video.
Ciao. So as you can see, we learned a lot today. I mean, from technical glitches to how you can recover as an entrepreneur, as someone that's going after your dream. I just want to take the time to say, Espree, you're awesome. Thanks for doing the show with all the glitches and everything else. And guys, if you want to buy me tacos, I'm in Philly, so we can connect on that later. But our guest tomorrow is actually Thursday. Tomorrow, yeah. Harold's from Colorado. Her name is Susanna Downs, and she's a rocket scientist. Literally, a rocket scientist. Actually, she's a nuclear scientist, but she's not even 20 years old yet, so she might as well be a rocket scientist. But you don't want to miss this one. She talks about how she found her passion, how she got to working for a huge nuclear company when she was only 17. You don't want to miss this one. Trust me. And remember, if you don't feel like having to check back every week when there's a new episode, simply subscribe below and we'll do everything for you. We'll let you know, hey, there's a new video up. Remember, we are all champions. We just have to make the connection. I think you guys are starting to get it right. All right. See ya.